Sanai, how are you doing today? It's me, Diné Enciso, here with you today for some tips and tricks. So it's the end of summer season. Some of you may have been growing fruits, vegetables, or you may have been in stores that are having end of season sales on meats, cheeses, stuff like that. I want to give you some hints and some tips and tricks on how to make these food items last a lot longer. One item that I really like is a vacuum sealer. Put your food, put your meat, different things in there, frozen berries, corn, cheese, put it in there, seal it up, vacuum it up, put it in your freezer. It's going to last a lot longer than if you put it just into a regular plastic bag and then freeze it. Usually when you do that, you end up with a lot of frostbitten type of foods. For example, let me show you. This was given to me. It is a frostbitten ham. Again, they just put it into a regular plastic bag, put it in the freezer, but as you can see, there's a lot of frostbite on here. So I'm going to show you how to alleviate this so that you don't have frostbitten food in the future. Okay, so one thing that a lot of people don't realize is that food, when you freeze it, it needs two barriers. Let me show you some cheese. Okay, and cheese is, if you buy it in bulk or in the block form at the store or in some of those big box bulk stores, it's a lot cheaper than buying it pre-shredded. So the typical amount of cheese that you get in one of those bags of pre-shredded cheese is about this much. Doesn't look like a lot, but maybe 3 or 4 of those pre-shredded bags will equal 1 block of this, and you can get many more bags of cheese out of that than this. So what you want to do, and again, you can do this with cheese, you can do it with meat, and you can even do this with green chili once it's roasted. Put it in your bag, and this is just a foldable, fold-over type of sandwich bag. You're going to squeeze it out. You're going to grab some plastic wrap, or it can be press and sealed, whatever your preference is. But it needs to be something that will help keep the air out. So once you have it, squeeze as much of the air out as you can, and then start rolling. Squeeze and roll. Make sure you get as much air out of that as you can. And this way, when you put it in the freezer, this is going to last a lot longer. Now, some of you have probably said, why did she put on gloves to cut the cheese? Okay, you can laugh. So, there has been a study shown that if your fingers with the oils on it touch cheese in the block form, wherever your fingers, that oil lands, that's usually where the mold is going to start first. So we want to stop this not only from molding, but also to keep it safe when you put it in the freezer so that you can use it later. Okay? So that's cheese. Okay, another thing that you can do, avocado. Let's say you have an avocado, you use 1/2, but you're not going to use the other right away. The best thing to do is you want to get a container of some sort with a flat surface, because sometimes there are other containers or storage containers that might have a ridge. You want a completely flat surface. So you're going to take this half, stick it against there so that no air is coming in. You're going to get some water and just barely cover the bottom. Now what that's going to do is the water is going to keep air from going and touching that underside of the avocado where it's going to oxidize. This way, this is going to last you a few days longer than if you didn't have anything to put it in. Okay? Another thing are, again, berries. It's the end of the year. You might have a container of berries, or they might have a sale on bigger container of berries. Or you might be picking your own berries. What you're going to do, you're going to wash these, and after you wash them, you're going to lay them to dry. You want them completely dried, especially if you're going to freeze them. Once they're dry, put some wax paper in a lined like a baking tray of some sort, and then you're going to put them in the freezer. Once they're in the freezer, they're going to freeze without getting any frostbite on them from that extra water that might still be on them. That's happened to me before, so we don't want to do that. Once they're frozen, put them in a vacuum bag, or you're going to put them in another type of bag. Again, freeze them. It will keep them frozen without frostbite longer. Okay. Another thing that you can do with these bags is, if you made, let's say, chilies or soups or beans, or, something liquid, and you want to put a set amount in each one. Some of these containers that are already pre-measured, you're going to put your bag in there. You're going to just loop it over the top. Now you already know how much is going to be in this particular bag. And you usually want to use a container that's slightly smaller than the bag. You're going to spoon your contents into this, and when you take it off, you will seal it up, and you're going to try and squeeze out as much air as you can before you put it in the freezer. Now the reason you want to use a container that's slightly smaller than the bag is because when liquids freeze, they're going to expand, and you don't want anything to be blowing this up, especially in the freezer. Okay, so we have that. If you have any dry goods that you've purchased at the store, this one is blue corn. Instead of putting it in a Ziploc bag of some sort, if you have a container that has, I don't know if you can see in here, there's a green line. This is a rubber line, or a rubber, kind of like a gasket, that when you close it, it helps to keep out the air. Now again, air is usually the enemy. That's what causes things to go bad. That's what causes blue corn, because there's going to be oil in this, a natural oil that it has when it's ground. It's going to cause it to go bad. It's going to cause it to go rancid sooner. You can also do that with nuts. With nuts, if you're not going to use all of them, you can put them in a plastic bag. Make sure you put them in the freezer. It will keep them longer. Another thing, and this has to do with leafy greens, whether it's lettuce, maybe you have some herbs, fresh herbs like cilantro, parsley, and you don't use it all. One way to extend its life, and I've had lettuce last for up to a month in the refrigerator for me, is you take it, you're going to wrap it with paper towel, and then you can put it back into the original bag, or you can put it into a storage bag. And what the paper towel does is it controls the amount of humidity that's in the bag. You don't need a special storage container that they advertise on TV every now and then. That's a certain color that they say helps to prolong different things. But the paper towel itself will help to extend the life of your lettuce or any other leafy vegetable that you have. Now another thing that I want to show you is again with meat, kind of like what we did with the cheese. Again, you're going to take a fold over plastic bag, and this is good for portioning things out. Let me cut one of these really quick. Okay, so we're going to put our plastic wrap down. If I can get it to lay out mostly. Okay, so you're going to take your meat. And again, this is a good way to pre-portion different sizes. Now in here you could probably get 2. So we'll cut up 2. Alright, so once it's in here, you're going to fold it over. And try and squeeze out as much air as you can. Now the opening flap we're going to put down first on the corner. Again, squeeze it out, roll, make sure you squeeze. You want to get out as much air as you can. Fold those ends over and just keep rolling. So again, you have those 2 barriers to make sure that the meat in here does not get freezer burn, and this is going to last a lot longer once you freeze it. So those are just a few tips and tricks for helping your foods last a little longer during the end of the season and into the next. So thanks everybody. Have a good day and we'll see you later.